Hello and welcome back. It's puzzle time with Sudoku Sleuth, and today we're playing Dutch flatmates Arrows. I mean, that welcome back works in both ways. It's for you and for me. So glad to be back home as well, and in familiar environment, and really, more importantly, back with Mrs. Sleuth and our two beautiful dogs. So, Dutch flatmates, I'm sure you guys are going to recognize this. This is a new rule set that was invented by Flinty. There's a lot of them that, between him and Good City that they've actually put out there. And we've featured a few of them. Now, given it's a weekend puzzle, normally I try and up the difficulty a little bit, but I've just got back home. I'm a little bit tired, a little bit jet lagged. So I'm going to cop out a bit, play something that is a little bit more approachable and easy, and see if I've got the energy and the mental capacity to up the difficulty a little bit later this weekend. Right, enough of this introduction. Let's take a look at the puzzle. Oh, I should just mention, I mean, you've clearly got... I don't know if that's going to come across as racist, saying, a possibly Dutch woman in traditional clothing. I don't even know if that's appropriate to say that is traditional clothing. Maybe it's not quite right. And Sleuth, I guess, keeping an eye on her for some reason or another, perhaps due to some crime. Let's take a look at the puzzle. So, Dutch Flatmates, the Arrows edition by Flinty. And aside from the fact that there is a few arrows on the grid, I'm not sure I get any other references to the title. I don't necessarily think that's intended, though. So we've got the rule sets. I'll cover the normal Sudoku and arrows first, then we'll come back to Dutch Flatmates, since that's probably the less common variant, I guess. First one, normal Sudoku rules apply. Place the digits 1 to 9 in every row, in every column, and in every 3x3 box. That's a 3x3 box. That wasn't. Without any repeats. And then we have arrows. So the value of the digit along an arrow must sum to the value of the digit in its corresponding circles. Digits may repeat if allowed by other Sudoku rules. So what would be a good example? If these two cells, for example, are 2 and 4, they are on the arrow. The corresponding circle for that arrow must be the sum of everything that's on the arrow. So you'll see a lot of arrows here peppered throughout the grid, and hopefully it's very clear that where they attach to their relevant circle. Now we have 5s live in Dutch flats. That's the Dutch flat variant. All 5s in the grid must strictly have either a 1 directly above it and /or a 9 directly below it. It may have both, but it doesn't need both. So imagine if this cell is a 5. For us to satisfy this condition, either we have a 1 at the top, or we have 1 and 9 surrounding it, 1 at the top specifically, 9 below it, or just 9 below it. What we cannot have is 2 above it, 4 beneath it, and essentially no 1s or 9, keeping this Dutch 5 company. So that doesn't work, that breaks the puzzle. That's the only trick about it. Well, that's the only rule. There's a few tricks I suspect I'm going to show you if you're not familiar with this variant as I get started. Speaking of which, if you want to join this archery range, shoot a few arrows, link will be in the description down below for you to play along as usual. And with that said, I'm going to restart the clock and see how I get on. So I'm half tempted. Okay, I'm fully tempted to just start with some of the larger arrows, because minimum this can be is 1, 2, 3. Minimum this can be is 1, 2. That's 6. That's 3. That's a 9. We've got something very similar going on here. That's 1, 2, 3. That's 1, 2. I'm just sort of seeing them. They're all in the same row. They're all in the same box. That's the only one that's a 3. You can actually place a digit, well, obviously, in addition to the 9 in here. And we're off to a good start. 3 digits in under 30 seconds. Who can complain? This one is interesting. In fact, it's interesting because we've got Sudoku rules, means 9 is in none of these. Now, 9 is either in the circle or on the arrow. Very obviously, with arrow sum rules, the 9 is always in the circle, unless you have like a 2-cell circle, oval. In which case, you clearly can't have a 9 plus 2 more digits add up to a single-digit number. That's not going to work. So that's 9. We need a 9 up here. Same kind of setup. 9 has to be either inside the circle or an arrow. That's not going to work. That's a 9. 9 could obviously be on something like this, for example, where, you know, it is only a one cell arrow and you're just saying these two cells are the same. Although it doesn't here because the 9 is seeing this tip. But otherwise, yeah, 9s will be in circles today. Let's see what else. What else? We established 9 is not here. So 9 is in one of these two cells. Can't be on the arrow. And we've already just, you know, Sudoku says none of these. We already established not on the arrow because of this 9. 9, and it can't be here. 9 is in one of these two cells. These two are 9s. I don't know why I focus on 9s, but it's just, let's roll with it. Although it's running out of steam rapidly now. I don't know if it's worthwhile pursuing much further. That's probably good enough for now. Right, let's think about what else do we have. So I'm just taking stock, and maybe I should just voice what I'm taking stock of. So for example, I'm noticing on a few places that the minimum is 4. We've already placed 1, 2, and 3 in the box. This is a minimum of 4. I can't actually place a 9, so this is limited to 6, 7, and 8. The fact that there's a 4 in here and at least 1 and 2 tells me that's not 6. And I do need a 1 in here to make sure that it does add up to 7 or 8, because without a 1, 2, 3, 4 would be a 9, which clearly doesn't work with all these 9s dotted everywhere. So I'm not going to put a 4 in here, because you know, that was just illustrative. So that was a minimum of 4. These are a minimum of 3, 4. So this is a minimum of 7 again. So this is a 7, 8. Just 1 and 2, looking at these two cells, this is a minimum of 3, 4. But it could also be 3, 5. And there is definitely a 3 in here. Can I have a 5 here? No. Under the 7, 8, and obviously no 9 beneath it, that would be off the grid. So that's not a 5, but I could have a 5 here. And obviously I could still have a 4 here with a 3 there, so that does work. What else can I see? 1, 2, 3, that's got to be 4, 5. In fact, I did say there are a few little tips about Dutch flats. First one is, in row 1, the 5 always has to have the 9 under it. Because remember, the 5s are either have a 1 above it, which they can't in row 1, or a 9 beneath it, which is the only option that we have here. So as soon as you place a 9 in row 2, you can immediately place the 5 in row 1. And these two have to add up to 9. That's 5 and 4. This is 6, 7, 8. 1 and 2, 1 and 2. We need 1 and 2 up here somewhere. Is that enough? No, and 3. And 3. That's nice. Yeah, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, and 3 between these two cells. So that is 1, 2, 3. What am I going to put in here? So 1, 2, 3, 7, and 8 are all unavailable. This is from 4, 5, and 6. In fact, it is 4 or 6 because we don't have a 5. So I could do 4, 6. I could do 6 with 1 and 2. Or I could do 4 with 2 and 3. Now in both scenarios there was a 2 in essence in here. That's not a 2. Keep thinking this is not 1, 2, or 3 down here. What is it? Not too sure. I feel like I'm doing this the harder way for some reason. Can I keep thinking about 5s for a second? I probably should. So 5s, for example, kind of the flip of this deduction here, that the 9 always has to be beneath the 5. So row 1, 5, row 2, 9 immediately beneath it. The equivalent is true here. Row 8, 1 has to have row 9, 5 immediately beneath it. Again, because the 9 cannot go in a row 10, that would be off the grid. So 1 is in one of these two cells, 5 is one of these two cells. So essentially we have 1, 2, 3, and 5 all eliminated from here. And this is now left with 4, 6, 7, and 8. Now, I imagine that this is quite tricky because 1, 2, 3 means this is a minimum of 4. This is not going to be a 4. It's also not going to be, oh, it could be a 3, can't it? I could do 1, yeah, I could do 1, 5 to get to a 6. That works. In fact, where does 5 go? No 5s. 1, 2, 3 taking over all of that. That is a 5. That is a 1. That is a 6. That's not a 6. That's now 2, 3, meaning that has to be a 4 to add up to 9. And this is a 7, 8 pair. This 6 sees the 6, 7, 8 setup up there. That's now 6. We can tidy these up as we go along. That was a lot of tidying up, as you can see. And in here, we need to have a 4 for sure. We'll come back. I need a 7, 8 and a 6. I don't know. I need a 7, 8 and a 5. 5. That is interesting. Right, where does 5 go in box 4? Well, it's not on this cell because it can't have a 1 above it since the 1, 2 pair is written in. And it can't have a 9 beneath it since that's 2, 3. So that's not the 5. That is the 5. That has to be the 1 above it because 9 cannot be beneath it. We already used the 9. It's too far away. That's 1. That's 2. And oh, yep, I can run away with it. 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, and this is now a 3, 4 pair. I still have that 7, 8 question mark, so I'm not going to keep on pencil marking. So I think that's all the 5s done on this left-hand side of the grid. I haven't really thought about all the arrows, so I'm kind of tempted to do that first. 1, 2, and yeah, it hasn't changed really. That's still 4 minimum. 1, 2, 3 minimum. That's at least a 4. Am I missing some very obvious stuff? I probably am. Let's think about this. So this is either 1, 2, 4 or 1, 2, 5 or 1, 3, 5. So no 1's up here. One of the 2 3's is gone. Yeah, this is not the way to go about doing it. It's just, there's a lot of different options to consider. Let's think about 5's. We need a 5 in one of these 2 cells. 5 in here doesn't work because you can't have a 1 above it and there isn't a 9 beneath it. I think same is true for this 5. That is a 5. That is a 1. That's already at 6. That is a minimum of 2. In fact, it's exactly 2 to make that an 8. Otherwise, I'd break it. So that 5 was helpful. What else do I need in here to finish this box? It's 4, 6, and 7. Except that's not a 4. And in here I have a 9, a 7, 8. Yeah, that's just messy. And 2 of 6, 7, and 8. It looks like. So I am going to move on. Right, 5 here is done. I know what all of these are. I may as well just pencil mark them. So minimum is 3, 4. In fact, it is exactly 3, 4 because that is a maximum of 7. So that's 7. 4 is here because of this 4. That's a 3. That is the missing digit in this column. It's a 6. Can I do anything else in here? Not yet. It doesn't seem like. Right. What about these arrows? I mean, this arrow must see. So it sees 1, 2, 3, 4. Can it be 5? Would require a double 5. Feels very unlikely. Think about this 5. It would require a 1 above it. Doesn't. Would require a 9 beneath it. Plausible. And this 5, it can't have, well, it can't have a 9 beneath it. So it would require a 1 above it. So stunningly, 5 in there seems plausible. Plausible, possible. Feels highly unlikely if I'm honest, but possible. I don't know, I'm not going to go down that route yet. There must be easier things. Let's have a look. Famous last words? Doesn't feel like there's that many easier things. Is that just jet lag hitting me and making me kind of making it difficult to see things? Right, let's just see what all the options here is. 4, 5, 6, 8. I'm going to put the 9 because, you know, except we know 9 is not here, 9 is not there. 9 could be everywhere else, basically, though. These are not 4s. It's a very messy way of doing this, though. Right. Can this be a 4? No, because the minimum is 4. Could this be 4 with a 1? Well, the 5 would have a 1. That can't have a 1 above it because that would be a 4 and can't have a 9 beneath it. It's not a 5. 6 with 4, 2 works. So this is 6, 8, or 9. 8 with a 1 above it. Is that even plausible? Feels highly unlikely. 5, 6, 8. That's not a 6. That is just 5 or 8. And I mean, look at the options now. 1. Still, we can still place a 9. We can still place a 9. It's just, again, seems so unlikely that this is a double 5. Let's think about what these are to add up to 6, 8, or 9. Is that the way to go about it? No, definitely not. Right. What is this cell? These can be double 1. I really need to place more 1s. They're really making the arrows extremely awkward, and I just don't know if I've really spent any energy thinking about these 1s at all. I don't really think I have, but again, I'm not really seeing where I could place it. Am I just missing some obvious Sudoku which would move this forward a lot? Like an 8 staring at a 7, which gives me a 3, 4, goodness me, which gives me a 5, a 1, a 2. Anyway, we won't mention what we've just witnessed. These are 6s, that's a 7, a 6. So these are 6, 8, 9s. The 1s and 2s don't exactly help. 5 gives me 8s in here. So yeah, it was not just unlikely, it just wasn't. 6 and 9 now. Feels very restricted at this point. 5 in here with a 1, still possible. What are these? So that can't be a 1 anymore. It could be a 2. Could still be a 3. It's not a 4. It's not a 5. It's not a 6. Could be as high as 7 with an 8. Not being possible, and obviously no 9s. This can still be 1, 2. This is getting ugly. 3, 4, 5, 6, and neither 7 nor 8. Right, so so the minimum is 3 with 1 and 2, but obviously I can't do 3, I can't do 4, I can't do 5, I cannot do 6, and it's not 7, it's not 8. That was placed, and I just went around hunting for no reason. So this could be 6 with a 3 or 2 with a 7, and that is all the options. 6 with a 3 or 2 with a 7 in this direction. Right, that's not a 9. I do need a 9 in here now, which unfortunately includes this cell, but hey ho. We need a 1 in here, so we need 1, 2, 5, and 6. It's not a 6, but we do need 1, 2, or 5 with a definite 1 in here. The 1s are starting to get reasonably restricted here, and I guess reasonably restricted there. That's right, so this is not... Shall we think about 5s? I put a 5 in here. I cannot have a 5 there. 9 above it and no 9 beneath it. That wouldn't have worked. 5 in there, again, doesn't work. No 1 above it, no 9 beneath it. That's not a 5. That is the 5. Doesn't really remove a lot of options from here. Is that 4, 6, and 9? Yes, it is still. That's a 1, 2 pair now, which gives me a 6, which gives me a 3. I'm not doing anything. That's the right set of buttons. 1 and 2 in here. I need a 7, 8 with a 5. 5 is always lovely because of all the restrictions around it. So let's think about this. If that's a 5, that would need to be a 1. Possible. If that's a 5, that could be a 9 beneath it or a 1 above it. So not really helping my case here. But 1, 2, 3, 4, minimum is 5. And then with the minimum being a 4, it has to be this order. Has to be a 1 up here, and it has to be a 9 with a 6 there. Right, home stretch now. 5s, we basically placed all of them except, I'm going to say, that's not true. There is a 5 in one of these two cells. However, if I place a 5 in here, well, that's not a 9 underneath it. And because 1 and 2 are paired up already, I can't put a 1 above it. So that's not the 5. That would be the 5. No 1 above it means that is the 9. Is that the last place for the 1? And I just, corner pencil marked it correctly and I just need to write it in. That's an 8, 7, 8. What do we have in here? I think that's all the 5s I was about to say. I got distracted. That's a 5 with a 1 above it, so it doesn't really matter. In fact, that's just a 6 because we've got 8, 9 in the column. They're not 6. 4. How about I do a bit of Sudoku and actually tidy up quite a bit? And, well, I say tidy up, complete the puzzle because, I largely have and I've just been ignoring it. 3, 4s not resolved. 7, 8s not resolved. Okay. So there's still more work to be done. These are 2 and 7. That 7 tells me that's the 7. That's a 2. I should know what this is. 3. I need 4 and something. 7. That 4 tells me it's not here. It's there. And 7. 4 gives me again another 7. Another 4. Because of this 1, 2 pair, I know what these are. In fact, 5 without a 9 beneath it, that's the way to resolve that 1, 2 pair. That's 1. That's, yeah. Keep going. That's a 7, which gives me this 8 and helps me unresolve these 7, 8s. That's a 6, 7 pair. That 7 tells me that's the 7. That's the 6. Right, home stretch now. 18 minutes. Yeah, slightly slower solved than it should have been. 8 can't be there. That's the 8. That's the 3. What do we need in here? We need 2, 4, 9. 2, 4, 6, 9. 2 is in here. This 3 gives me the 4, the 3. This is the 9. And then I need 4, which is in here because of this 4. And then lastly, 6 for the finish. What a lovely puzzle. Flinty once again. Highly deserving of the incredible rating. 90% plus. I liked this puzzle. Another like again. And yeah, I mean, I really should be working through this series a bit more systematically. And maybe I will this weekend. Just a lot of them are 2-star difficulty rated. Similar for the quality cages. So there's probably a few that I need to work through this weekend. Just give me a moment to recover. And then I'll be back with you with slightly more difficult puzzles. Hope that you guys enjoyed the puzzle and the video. And see you back for the next one. Bye-bye for now.